The Republican-dominated Florida Legislature approved a ban on abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy. Governor Ron DeSantis has signed the bill. The ban gives DeSantis a major push among conservative voters as he prepares to launch a presidential campaign built on his national brand as a conservative candidate. The 6-week ban will take effect only when the state's current 15-week ban is upheld in an ongoing legal challenge that is before the state Supreme Court. Democrats and abortion rights groups have criticized Florida's proposal as extreme, and now Trump, who is himself surrounded by legal troubles, has jumped on the bandwagon and criticized DeSantis for campaigning while Florida drowns.
For the past 50 years, we've had a culture grow in this nation, a culture of abortion for any reason, at any time. A culture that was created by 7 men on the Roe versus Wade court who got it wrong.
It's about a legislature that's led by men, implementing laws to control women. If this legislature was led by women, would this be not a woman's right to uphold and uplift and value women like the queens that you are?
To the women who are watching this, who in the future will have maybe this decision to make, I apologize to you that we're even here today doing this. To the doctors who are afraid they may lose their license by trying to save a woman's life because it's at risk during the pregnancy, I apologize to you that you are caught up in this. If we are the free state of Florida and we cherish life, then we should really not be voting for this bill and supporting women, their freedom, and their choices to make these decisions. Thank you.
And let's get to our guest. I'm joined by Puneet Ahluwalia, political analyst and Republican strategist. Puneet, thank you for joining us on CNN News 18. My first question is, do you think Ron DeSantis has miscalculated when it comes to his presidential bid to go so extreme when it comes to abortion?
Well, I don't think he's miscalculated. He's playing very smart. Apparently, he has redefined and showed the conservative primary voters that he is decisive. He's an able, stable leader who will make strong, harsh decisions. And at the same time, he's decisive. And we've seen how thumping majority he won his re-election as a governor of Florida. So I think he's kind of settled the debate that he is the likely choice for the nominee because President Trump has his issues and his problems, which are going to keep going on, and he'll be in battle with that. At the same time, Ron DeSantis is clearing his path to the nomination.
But Puneet, Donald Trump is almost 33 points ahead of Ron DeSantis when it comes to the entire, pick for who will get the Republican ticket for the presidential elections in 2024. Do you think by doing this, Ron DeSantis has alienated a lot of the moderate Republicans who themselves have a problem with the overturning of Roe v. Wade?
Well, you see, the problem with the Republican Party is that we have not been able to define the debate on abortion. It's a very divisive issue, and I think the American people are looking for a decisive decision on where do we stand as a nation. Do we want to have a 6-week ban, or we want to have a 15 or 16 weeks ban, or a 20-week ban, or as the Democrats would want it, that they would like the kids to be aborted just before childbirth. So that's a decision has to be made by the people of the United States. And I guess that's why it has now fallen on to the governors and the state legislature to make that decision. And that's the reason why Ron DeSantis had to act, because the Florida, it was a 70-40 vote in favor of banning abortion at 6 weeks.
Right. And my final question before I let you go, Puneet, Donald Trump has also jumped into this. He's taken on Ron DeSantis and he's way ahead of him when it comes to the polls. What stand do you think Donald Trump will end up taking when it comes to the entire abortion debate, as Ron DeSantis has brought it to the center of national politics once again?
Well, as I'm just not just restricting to President Trump, but I would say, or former President Trump, that what stand he would take. But I think as Republicans, we have to take a stand, and as a nation, we have to take a stand. Where do we stand on this important issue? Is there a human life at a heartbeat? That's the most important issue. When you look at that pictures at various levels of weeks or months when the child is, as an embryo, is becoming a child, we have to make a decision. Is this life worth saving or not?
Right,
And
but
that
don't
is
you
a
think the Republican
morality.
camp itself is divided now? You don't think
It's
so?
not divided. We just have to find. We are not divided. I think what we have to do is make a decisive decision. What is right by the nation, and how do we take this issue, which has divided the nation for over 40 years? How do we come to a consensus where we realize that this is a heartbeat and this is a life and a human being? That's the decision we have to make. At the same time, it's an individual. As I'm a firm believer of individual liberty, it's between the mother and her spiritual guide and God Almighty. That's how I look at it.
Right. Thank you, Puneet Ahluwalia, for sharing your perspective on the tussle within the Republican camp itself when it comes to the entire abortion debate, after Ron DeSantis has cleared that very controversial bill saying that abortion will not be allowed after 6 weeks of the pregnancy. And many experts suggest that women don't even realize that they're pregnant up to 6 weeks. But that tussle will continue on the road to the presidential elections.